Americans believe they need $1.46 million to retire comfortably, according to the latest 2024 Northwestern Mutual Planning and Progress study. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is a bunch of junk. Not completely junk, but the concept bothers me. I think it's wrong to be talking like this, but I am a good co host with my friend here, Tony Shore, whose idea was to talk about this again. Now, before you tell me why we're talking about this today or why you wanted to, I want to remind you that we did this show last year when this survey came out, and it was 1.27 million or something like that. I'll put the show up here for those that are watching on YouTube. Um, but Tony, why are we doing this again? Do you want to get me upset?
That's part of it. Part of it is I know that if I poke the right buttons, you go off on the rant and explain to people why it's bunk. There's two reasons why I sent it to you. Number one, because we talked about this study a year ago, and now they're saying, oh, we've adjusted it a little bit. You need 1.46, which seems like an arbitrary number to me. And I wanted you to explain your side of it. I want to hear your side of it. And if I want to hear it, I bet some of our listeners do as well. So that's one reason. But the main reason is this comes out every year and then it gets picked up. So I didn't see it once. I saw this in 3 different places. Okay. This citing this study. Studies show and Americans believe this is the amount you need to retire comfortably. And so I know that it's bunk, and I think it's our duty, and I think you've taken up the helm or the whatever you want to call it, of you've taken up the sword of fighting these sensationalistic stories and putting the truth out there. So that's what the podcast is about. This is what the podcast is about. When I see these articles start popping up, just once would be one thing in a feed, but then I'm on social media, I'm reading online magazine subscriptions that I get, and I'm starting to see it picked up by The Wire, and I'm like, okay, somebody has to put a sensible voice to this, and somebody who's actually going to do the math and not skew the numbers to get clicks, right?
Yeah, it is kind of clickbaity, but I think you saw it in the Wall Street Journal. I saw it on CNBC, but then I said, well, let
Yeah,
me find the source, go right to Northwestern Mutual.
sure.
Let's throw them under the bus. Here's the link for people watching on YouTube. PR Newswire. Let me take a moment here for a second to talk about that. PR, Public Relations Newswire. Why is this like a public relations thing, not just a study? It's because Northwestern Mutual, they're a financial company. So they sell products, they sell mutual fund, maybe money management, they sell life insurance, annuities. So again, what's in it for them
Yeah.
to
Oh,
have
I
this
better have an
sensational
annuity.
headline?
I need to save up more and put it into
Yeah,
Northwestern Mutual's products. I
right.
know that
Whole life insurance. I need
it's
whole life
PR
insurance now. Yeah.
disguised as news. It's PR
Well,
disguised as news, right?
well, it's working. We're talking about it, right?
Sure,
So,
true, but we're debunking it. I mean, that's
well,
different.
so again, it's crazy to think that people are looking at this headline. It's Americans believe. The headline is Americans believe they need 1.46 million. So it's
True.
not saying, hey, here's the science, the math. The financial planners are saying you need 1.46 million average. This is just asking random people on the street, hey, how much do you need to retire? And they're like, I don't know. Right. And so they throw these numbers out, and this is the average number,
And then
1.46.
they average it. And so
Yeah.
it
And
becomes
so,
a rant. You wonder how people throw out 1.46. No, people say, oh, I need $1 million. And then a bunch of
right.
people say I need 2 million. And so it's
Right.
in between, right?
Right. And so the quote from this study or survey is people's magic number, which it's not a magic number. That's a ridiculous thought. It's a made up
Mm-hmm.
number that serves no purpose other than to drive clicks and drive interest in drive fear. Because think about this: how many Americans have $1.46 million to go to retire? Even the boomers who are closest to retirement, some already have retired, they don't have 1.46 million on average, right? But anyway,
Not on
what's it doing?
average.
It's
Some
getting
do, but
people. It's depressing. This is a depressing headline. So the magic number is rising faster than inflation because we just did a show. I'll put the show up here for those that didn't see it last year. We did the show 1.27 million. Now it's
Right.
1.46. It's jumped 15%, and we didn't have 15% inflation, or did we? I don't know. And it's up 53% since 2020 when they started this. 53%. Now here's the fun part. While retirement savings fall to 88,000. Okay, so the average retirement savings is less than 100,000. Yet
Mhm.
everyone's thinking they need over 1.5 million. So what does that mean? Two things. One, people don't think they're ever going to retire, and two, people get really depressed. And so it's like, what are we trying to accomplish here? What are we trying to accomplish here? Um, because you on we did the show last week on people retiring at 62, a lot earlier than expected. More and more people expect to retire early, which, and I'll put that show up here. They expect to retire early, yet here we are saying we don't have enough to retire. So again, um, this study,
There's a
this
disconnect
survey,
somewhere.
a huge disconnect. This is conducted by the Harris Poll on behalf of Northwestern Mutual, 4,500 adults age 18 or older, and this was done in January 2024. So this is recent, relatively recent, um, and people think they need a whole lot more. Um, Huge disconnect between reality and the truth, which is and this make believe number, which is I need one and a half. You don't need that much. Most people do not need that much. Most people will never get that much. And to think that the only way you're going to retire is to get to 1.5 million, it's a joke. Um, Look at this by generation. Gen Z and millennials expect to need more than 1.6 million to retire
Mm.
comfortably. Um, so the younger you are, I guess, the more you think you need.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes sense, right? How much do I need when I'm 40 years from now? It's tough to say. $1 million today isn't what it used to be. Um, but here's the one quote from this that I think is the most important, and I think it's lost on most people reading it. But I want to highlight this quote: "People with more than 1 million in investable assets say they'll need nearly 4 million
Of course.
to retire comfortably." What is going on there, Tony?
Yeah.
What is going on there? The
We always
people that
need
already
more. It's never
yeah,
enough, Dan.
never enough to quote the Greatest Showman.
Yeah.
All the shine of a thousand spotlights, never enough, Tony. Um, so even if you get 1.4 million because you think you need that, as soon as you get there or close to it, you're going to say, "No, I need 4 million." And I bet you, if you ask the people that have 4 million in assets, they're going to say, "I need 8 million or 12 million,"
Sure.
and so on
Of
and
course.
so on.
You always
So
need more than you have.
you always need more. And why is that? There's two reasons. One, nefarious, which is the financial services industry loves to fearmonger because it drives business. It drives the sale of investment products and services.
Yeah, just read the newspaper or flip on one of those news channels, Fox Business News or CNBC or any of them.
Or you read the headlines. You need
Yeah.
1.5 million. Well, I don't have that. Well, come talk to me then. And here I am talking about it as a financial planner, but I'm not interested in telling people they need $1.5 million to retire. What usually happens is they come to me and say, "This is what I have. When can I retire?" And my objective is to get them to retire sooner. So the other reason why um, this this headline bothers me is not one is it sells. It's a clickbaity. It's a selling of product and services. The other reason why people think they need that much is because they have no idea how much they truly spend in retirement because they have no idea how much they spend currently.
Right.
People are throwing this number out there because they have no idea.
Yeah.
None.
Yeah.
You ask the average person how much do you spend in a year, they're not going to know. They'll know how much they make, And then most people say, if I make 50,000 in a year, I spend 50,000 in a year, right? But they don't really truly know. And then if you ask them how much do they need to spend in retirement, I don't know. Well, I, I need, I don't know. And so then they throw rules of thumb out there. They throw, all I need 1.6. What is this? What do you need 1.5 million for? Truly, what's the, what, like, why that number? Why do people say that? Do they have any logic behind why they say it? I need 2 million. Um,
Sounds
Maybe they're
good. Sounds
saying,
like it's enough to live on. I'll throw that
oh,
number out there.
right, right. That's it. Sounds like it's a good number. And I think what they should be doing is, well, how much income do I need? Well, I don't know the answer to that. Um, how much do you spend? Well, I don't know the answer to that. And so no one wants to sit down and figure out what their budget is, how much they want to spend, how much they need to spend, because it's not easy.
Right.
No one ever does it.
Some people can
Right?
live comfortably in retirement, and if they only have $250,000 saved up. Some people can live comfortably in retirement and really need that $4 million saved up. Everybody's situation is different. There is no rule of thumb, right? As you've always said.
Yeah. None.
Right.
I have
Right.
so many clients with less than $500,000 that are comfortably retired.
Right.
500,000, not even. I have clients that have 200,000 they come to me with, and I'm like, "Can I retire?" And I said, "Yeah, we can. Here's how." The difference is that they don't have this pipe dream of a retirement lifestyle that is completely out of reach.
Yeah.
Of course, I can come up with a plan to spend 4 million a year in retirement. That would be a great retirement. But what happens is people live within their means. What in reality, it's okay, I have $300,000 to my name. Can I retire? Yes. But here's what it's going to look like. You're
Right.
not going to be traveling with Jeff Bezos around the world. You're going to be doing the trips to family. You're going to be doing the things you want to do anyway.
You're not going to buy a
And maybe
$600,000 RV if you want to
boom.
retire on $250,000 saved up. I mean,
Right.
that's the difference,
Right.
right? I mean,
So, right, that's the big difference. This magic number is nonsense. I mean, it starts the conversation, but it steers it in a really wrong direction. And the other thing that people seem to always forget about, I mean, because what is that? I need 1.46 million. Is that investable assets? Well, if you're asking Northwestern Mutual, they're probably, yeah, that's what you need, 1.4 million to invest with me, and then I will generate, dividends and
yeah,
income
they're
off of
talking
that.
about investable assets. So they're not including Social Security or things like
Right.
that.
Are
So,
people thinking about Social Security? Maybe the younger generations are discounting it completely. Um,
because the
or they're
media
not
keeps
thinking
telling
about
them it's not going to be there.
it's going to be bankrupt, right? They had a section in the recent debate between Trump and Biden about Social Security, and uh, Trump didn't address it, and Biden said we're going to just tax the rich. I mean, but no one wants to do anything about it ever.
Nope. No.
The last one to really do something about it was Reagan, and then now, so maybe they're discounting that, and maybe that's fine. But what people are always seeming to forget is the value of their home equity.
Right.
I said this on the last time. You might have a $500,000 home, and you don't think about that as retirement income because you're living in it. But why not? And people forget about the home. They forget about it because it's an untouchable sacred cow, but it's really not. It really should be part of your retirement planning. You could downsize, you can borrow from it, you could do a reverse mortgage. There's a lot of different ways to use the assets you have, but the bottom line is to come up with some random number and then to look at that number and get depressed. That's the problem I have with these.
Right.
And
And
so now
that's why I wanted you to
you got
talk
me on
about it
edge
again.
here.
I
No,
know.
no, you
That's why
wanted
I
to get
wanted to
me
talk.
angry.
That is why I wanted you to talk about it, because it's crazy for them to put out this information because people misconstrue it or come to the wrong conclusions after seeing this. So everybody's situation is different. You can retire comfortably on much less. Some people, because of their lifestyle and spending habits, will want much more. So, or need much more, but you can make it work. But you need to work with a trusted fiduciary, somebody who's going to look out for your best interests and not just be concerned with how can I get you to, build up more investable assets so I make more money and spend it with
Exactly.
me. That's
This
the
that's
catch.
good. The headline drives savings, right? Oh, you got to save more, save more, save more when you're young. Yeah, and that's true. But I don't like the idea of you need to save more when you're young. The idea should be you need to spend less on crap. That's
Right.
the secret.
Yeah.
We did a show, the number one rule of thumb, the number one thing you could do to retire successfully. That was live within your means. And I put that as an entire show. And I think this drive to save more is okay, right? It's okay to save more, and that's not a bad message. But I think the message should be to save more by spending less. You can't do one
Yeah.
without the other.
Well, saving more
And
isn't bad. Saving more isn't bad, but they want you to. The problem is the message people are getting isn't necessarily to save more. The older people who see this are like, "Oh my gosh, I have nowhere near that. I'm never going to reach that goal. I can't
right,
retire.
I got to work. I got to keep working.
I
And then they
shouldn't
get
go.
depressed.
It doesn't do me
Right,
any good to go see Dan because I can't
right,
retire anyway."
right. I can't do it.
That's a huge problem.
Right. And then the millennial and the younger generations are saving and they're like, oh, that's the way to do it. Compounding interest, invest, invest, invest. And that makes sense. But we're dealing with the people in their 40s and 50s that are like, I got 100,000 saved total. And I need 1.5 million. And then they get depressed and they bury their head in the sand and they don't think about it. These magic numbers are meaningless to me. You got to do your own math. You need to save more, but you also need to remember that you're going to spend a whole lot less in retirement than you're spending now. You're not going to be going to work anymore and spending on commute. You're not going to be saving in a 401k or IRA. You don't do that anymore. So you might be making a $70,000 salary and 20,000 of it's going to savings and taxes or whatever. That's gone. So you're really not you're not making you don't need $70,000 when you retire if you're making it now. You need a whole lot less. And but in the early years you might spend more. And so you have to think about not only the timing of it, but how much you're actually going to spend in retirement. Once you know that number, that's useful. This study, I want Northwestern Mutual to change their study. They need to ask and tell us what people think they spend a year in retirement. What is the average retiree spend per year? Because that is so much more useful than how much you think you need as a lump sum. No, how much do you spend a year? And if the answer is the average retiree spends $50,000, that's something useful to work with. Okay, well maybe I'm average, so maybe let's add Social Security. That's 25,000, so I only need 25,000. Maybe I can get away with $300,000 uh, uh, total. And that's much more palatable, useful, but it's not sensational, and it's really a difficult question to answer. So
Mhm.
people just like to say, I need $2 million. I need 3 million.
Yeah.
And then when they get there, I need 10 million. It's just, I don't know, Tony. I don't know. All right. Do we do it again next year when this survey comes out? Let's take guesses right
I'm
now. And I'm gonna save this clip and we'll play it next year. Right now, it's 1.46 million. Next year, what's the survey gonna say?
Yeah,
It's gonna
one
be
point
higher or
one
lower.
point seven five or 2 million. It'll be higher.
You're going above 1.75?
Yeah.
All right, Price is Right rules. I'm going
So
1.52. Price is Right rules. I'm not going to bring the yodeler back. I did that in a previous show.
that's
But
fine.
Price is Right rules. I'm saying 1.5 is what we're going to
Mhm.
say next year. That's going to be it. But we'll bring it up again. But again, please, people, do not get caught up in this number. You need a whole lot less in retirement than they're making. And don't forget your home equity. That is probably your biggest asset. And why not use it to live? Why not? You can have a legacy. You can use your assets, all of them, home equity included, and get to where you want to be. Don't get depressed. Give us a call. Tony, thanks for getting me triggered. Now I got to spend the entire rest of the day all worked up. We'll catch everyone next week. Well, oh, Tony, by the way, uh, keep this in mind. If you go over you said 1.75, if you're right, then you get to pick what the punishment is for me. All right. How about that? That we got to give you a little bit of some sort of benefit to
Oh,
getting it
I've got
right.
a list going of punishments for you that I got a book right here. I've got it listed.
All right. We'll catch everyone next week.
All matters discussed in today's show are for informational purposes only.
This show is not investment advice.
Dan Wendol nor Dolphin Financial Group are affiliated or endorsed by any government agency.
Investment advisory services are offered through Dolphin Wealth Management, Inc., a registered investment advisor in the state of Florida.
Insurance products and services are offered through Dolphin Insurance, Inc.
Dolphin Wealth Management, Inc. and Dolphin Insurance, Inc. are affiliated companies doing businesses as Dolphin Financial Group.
You should talk to someone at Dolphin Financial Group before implementing any of these strategies or ideas.